guys, I'm Andrew, and this is a Blackwing. It came here not driving so good. It's got a 418 cubic inch engine, direct port meth, and it's been through 5 shops. So if you haven't seen last week's video, I urge you to take a look at that, but this week we're going to be installing flex fuel on it and finally getting to the numbers. Let's get right to it.
Side window. It just stalled. This is not made. Yeah, but this thing's supposed to be making 1,060-ish rear wheel horsepower STV. We'll see how it drives then with just a bass tune. We're gonna do all sorts of good stuff to get this thing where it needs to be, and then deliver it back to the customer.
Wow. It's like before it struggled to literally back up this small incline.
I know. When I was driving it, I stalled it like 3 times on the previous tune. It was rough. It was rough. I mean, we just know what we're doing with these things, and you know, I think that the Global B platform is one of those platforms that the real tuners are going to show up really well, because you can't read somebody else's tune and copy and paste it anymore. So people that actually know how to tune Gen 5, they're going to succeed on Global B, where those who really don't and they borrowed from other tuners and are making their way from other people's tunes, they're not going to be able to. So here's the perfect example. This thing previously was driving so horribly, and now like bucking, popping everywhere. It was so bad, stalling out. And here it was effortlessly going on the dyno. So I'm giving myself a pat on the back. Sorry to you guys who, you know, have shops that can't do this, but I mean, you need to learn better. So the DSX Flex Fuel system for the Global B platforms is only available through authorized dealers. There is a dealer network, which yours truly, of course, is on the dealer network. You can go to dsxtuning.com to find your local dealer, or if you're local to us or want to send your car to us, which we can arrange certain transportation, you can actually just get, you know, your car here, done here, and done right.
I'm not going to make any tune adjustments yet. I'm going to kind of feel it out. Since this thing has wide bands, I can actually go full throttle and it will correct to where it needs to be. We did install the DynoJet wide bands in addition to having the factory wide bands, so I'll be reading all of it and making sure it doesn't get too far out of line. But I'm expecting to see baseline numbers right away without having to go over this, and ideally comparing it to 915, it looks better. That'd be really nice. So firing up, we're gonna do some park throttle stuff on the dyno, and then some more. So if you haven't seen it in the previous video, we did baseline this car with how it came. We're gonna play a quick clip for that right now. The guy was expecting over 1,000 and ended up here. So 915 rear wheel horsepower, a little bit on the much lower side than expected, but it kind of is what it is. Like sometimes dynos read a little bit differently, but comparing DynoJet to DynoJet, like it should be pretty darn close if the car's close, and unfortunately this time it really wasn't. But what I'm doing now is I'm making one final adjustment. Since we just installed the flex fuel sensor, I'm programming it in order for it to actually work on the car. So I'm pretty darn excited to see this thing in action. And then we're gonna do some baseline tuning on the dyno, a couple back and forths before we get to full throttle, and then we'll actually see if we beat the numbers. So it took a little bit of neural network training to get this thing where I wanted it to be.
Well,
I'm there now, and so now we can actually start the fun.
for those that don't know, what's the neural net?
Some kind of artificial intelligence that determines fueling. So, Skynet. It's kind of true.
Relatively low timing pulls, or are you just gonna like jump into it?
Now, let's see, what do I have in here? It's probably going to be about where it came in. So, timing-wise that way. So, we'll just see what happens.
Okay. Meth still on?
Meth is still on. We're not running this thing without meth. This thing's making like 20 pounds of boost, so no bueno to turn the meth off at this point.
So what we're doing right now is we are draining out pump gas because it's over half a tank. These things have like a saddlebag thing, and if I fill it, it's basically going to fill the passenger side and it's not going to mix well. So we're going to get it to maybe a quarter of a tank and then throw in about 5 gallons of E85 on top of the gas that's already in there. Because we're not going to get full E85 out of this. We're just not going to have the right injection window, at least per what I'm seeing in the log. We're gonna get maybe E40, which will be a decent enough gain that it'll probably make 1,000 rear wheel horsepower. What it was supposed to be making when it came here, but on pump. It's 960, so it should make about 1,000 on E40-ish.
How come E is so difficult to run in these?
What do you mean?
Well, it just seems like even if you do like those upgraded pumps and the upgraded injectors, you're inevitably going to run out of fuel system.
Well, I mean, if you do upgraded injectors, they don't really map well versus the factory injectors. Like the factory is very precise. It has really good data because it's factory data. And the aftermarket ones, they've kind of like resized things. They're not a specific injector. They don't have, solid data for it. So there's a lot of variances with it. And normally, let's say that it's an injector that is, for instance, this one, 30% increase over factory, except it's rating it at a lower fuel pressure. There's a little bit of advertisement gimmicks going on with it. Like, so 30% higher, but you have to run lower fuel pressure, so you get maybe 10%, something like that. That's kind of like what we're seeing right now. There's still certain injection windows that we have to be careful of, so you can only spray so much within a period of time, and the higher pressure allows you to jam more fuel in that period of time. But if you run too much pressure, the aftermarket injectors lock up, so you got to squeeze back down. That's part of the issue. With direct injection, it's complicated. It's the diesel guys have run into this for years upon years. Us GM guys, we haven't really run into it until Gen 5 came out, and honestly, port injection is the answer. Even the factory does it like that. Even the factory says, here's DI injectors, and also here's some port injectors on top of that. You've seen that mainly in the 2019 ZR1, and now you're going to see it again in the 2026 ZR1, where we have direct injection plus port injection on top of it in order to cover the spread. It's pretty nifty. So that's really what you need to do. Don't worry about upgrading the factory injectors and the factory high pressure fuel pump. Just go right to port injection, and you will be so much better off.
Some brilliant port plates out there.
There are. There are. You have a couple good offerings. You got like DSX, and you have 2 high PSI. And, they have excellent clearance. I think the DSX might have a millimeter extra clearance over 2 high PSI. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know those guys kind of go back and forth on some things, but there's good products in the industry right now. It's really good products, so that's awesome.
So before we go for a ride, I think that it's really important that I address at least one thing here. We turned up the boost, but we only made the same power as lower boost, but this was on pump gas. This is basically because of a limitation of the fuel system. E85 requires a lot more fuel. If you actually are running the 85%, it's something like 40% more fuel than E0. We're going from E10 to E85, and I think this thing was only running E45, somewhere around there, I think, and that was at the very edge of what the injectors could spray, because they have a limited amount of time where they could actually spray fuel out and not be spraying into the compression stroke. Direct injection, it's very important that you like focus on certain timing of the fuel spraying event in order to prevent some stupidity from happening. So because we were already there, what we needed to do is when we came to raise the boost, we wouldn't have the room to go further, so we ended up just running pump gas only. That way the customer doesn't have to go through. We have a little bit extra room now at the same horsepower. Pump gas, which is available like everywhere. It seems like a good thing. STD numbers, it's probably great. It's probably over 1,000, but was it 980, 986, something like that? That's very good numbers. And on that note, let's go take her for a rip and see how she does. I don't know if you guys remember, but when we had this out prior to tuning on the previous shop's tune, I'm not saying who it was, it drove absolutely bonkers bad. Like, and I could see that it was in the tune. It was 100% in the tune. Well, I mean, most of it. Like, there are some things that are inherent to this kind of build that, like, there's a little bit of stuff going on that is a mechanical issue, but the majority of the bad drivability was tune related. We verified that by putting a tune from that one on the car. That one's back for an inner chiller, stage 2. And when we did that, it started driving really nice, and we thought, okay, we're going to continue with this build. It's been, you know, a little bit longer of a journey than we expected, not because of anything crazy, but just like little hiccups, like an AC belt failing, and what else was the issue? Oh, the throttle body failed like right when I was done. It was like stupid stuff. So now we've got a brand new throttle body, and we're ready for the street. We did 980, if I recall, 980 rear wheel horsepower and pump gas plus meth, and now just gonna drive it nice and easy. Not like trying to buck everywhere we go. There will be a little bit around 1500 when you're in between part throttle and no throttle, but otherwise, you know, this thing should be pretty easy to drive. It does have smooth boost. I'm going to deliver it to the customer with like half boost, but for our purposes here, we're going to go with the full Monty. That way, you know, you guys know what kind of power this thing has. You can see that we haven't stalled yet, which is, you know, a big improvement over the last time. I can even just clutch in, put it down, and you'll see that the RPMs go exactly where they're supposed to, roughly 800 RPM. We can just drive nice and smooth. I love it. There's nothing like a smooth driving car. Another nice thing about it, of course, is that even AC on comes right back down to idle. No issues. You know, we have a beautiful solid idle. I'll give it a little rev so you guys can see after this turn. Revving in front of the police station. Well, looks like we might get a little spot here to hit it after the turn, of course, because we.
If you recall, this is where it started bucking the worst.
Oh yeah, look at it. Nice and easy. I don't think I'm driving it any different. Ready? You know, let it come down a bit. Everything's
appreciate it. This car we're going to deliver to the customer now. I'm so freaking happy with it. Like it came in here and I was really worried about the intake. I was worried about a lot of stuff that could be playing mechanically into the bad drivability, but no, it was a tune, and we were able to do a lot of things. We were able to really succeed for this customer, and I'm really happy about it. If you have a Blackwing and you're interested in having us work on it with some of our packages, we are the experts. I think I can say that we're the experts because it seems like nobody else can get it right. Okay, adios guys. You okay with your name being in the video?
Doesn't matter to me at all.
Okay. So this is Ed. He's the owner of the car. We just went out for our first drive with it. What do you think? Do you think we got it right?
Dude, I'm speechless. I was not expecting
that bad?
the car to drive this well. I had a bad experience with a tuner leading up at this point, and the car was undrivable, to say the least. But Andrew got it right. There's no doubt about it.
Go Eagles!
Oh god, last time we put that in the video, they lost.